Welcome to my lesson video for the song Fireflies by Owl City. In this video, I teach how to play the intro to Fireflies on both the piano and the guitar. This song, which was written by Adam Young, who is one of my musical heroes, is one of my favorite songs of all time. The intro to this song is a lot of fun to play, so I wanted to record a tutorial video for those of you that would be interested in learning how to play it. At the start of this video, I included a video that I recorded where I play the intro and outro from Fireflies on the guitar, and the excerpt of Fireflies from my Owl City piano medley video. This should give you a sense about how the intro is going to sound if you learn it on one or both instruments using my approach. I learned this intro very carefully to make sure all of the notes and rhythms are 100% accurate. I actually recorded the guitar video in the middle of the night on the day that this video was posted, which is actually Adam's birthday. I'm definitely a night owl, and this reminds me of how Adam wrote Fireflies in the middle of the night. Although this part takes a lot of dexterity to learn on both the keyboard and the guitar, with enough practice, it becomes a very rewarding musical passage to play. Before getting to the main part of the lesson, I want to provide you with some general background information to set the stage for learning how to play the song. Let's get started. I believe that the famous introduction to Fireflies that we all know and love is so masterfully crafted, and it really creates the imagery of fireflies lighting up around you. This part is also heard in most of the verses, creating a nice melodic line in the background while the vocals are at the foreground. Fireflies is in the key of E flat major, which contains the notes E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, and D. Although the intro has a lot of notes, 57 in fact, in just 4 or 8 measures depending on what rhythmic value you assign to the notes, it's a lot easier to play the part and remember all of the notes by keeping in mind 2 important things. The first important thing to keep in mind is that all of the notes are diatonic, which means that they all belong to the key of E flat major. All 7 diatonic notes make an appearance in the intro. The other important thing to keep in mind is that all of the notes are outlining and embellishing just 3 chords. The intro to Firefly centers around 3 chords, which are B flat major, E flat major, and A flat major. For those of you with some background in music theory, you might recognize that these are the primary triads in the home key of the song. In other words, chronologically, these are the 5, 1, and 4 chords in the key of E flat major, or the dominant, tonic, and subdominant chords, which cover the three main areas of harmonic function when it comes to tonal music. As a side note, I love the fact that the first note in Fireflies is a B flat. That note seems like a very special note when it comes to the music of Owl City. B flat major is the first chord of the song On the Wing, which is the first song from Owl City's debut studio album, and another one of my favorite songs by Adam. It is the first and last note of Fireflies, which is Adam's most famous song and his debut single, which has been certified diamond. A lot of popular songs begin and end on the tonic harmony, so I find it very cool that the first chord of Fireflies is the dominant harmony, as is the last chord. B-flat major is also the key of the songs Silhouette and Be Brave, which are both in my top 3 favorite Owl City songs. This is the intro to Silhouette. And this is the intro to Be Brave. In fact, what happens in Be Brave can be seen as the inverse of what happens in Fireflies. As I said, Fireflies is in the key of E flat major and begins and ends with a B flat major chord. Here is the ending to Fireflies. Be Brave is in the key of B flat major and begins and ends with an E flat major chord. Here is the ending to Be Brave. Anyway, with enough practice, muscle memory should develop, which definitely makes it a lot easier to play the introduction. And it's so much fun to play once you master it. If you want to practice with a metronome, the song is in 4/4 or common time, has a tempo of 90 beats per minute or 180 beats per minute, depending on if you assign the opening notes as 16th notes or as 8th notes. In a video where Adam shows a logic profile for Fireflies, the tempo is listed as 180 BPM. I highly recommend watching that video. It's so fascinating to see and hear how all the musical elements combine to form the song. When practicing at slower tempos, you might want to use different BPM numbers and treat the metronome beat as an 8th note or even as a 16th note. So for example, if I treat the beat as a quarter note and I have this BPM here of 180, this is how I would practice it. If I treat that now as 8th notes, it would be like this. And if I treat these as 16th notes, it would be like this. One final piece of advice. Remember this famous quote about practicing music? Don't play something until you get it right. Play something until you don't get it wrong. Now that the background has been provided, let's get to the lesson portion of the video. First, I'm going to show you how I play the introduction to Fireflies on the piano or another keyboard instrument. At the start of this section of the video, I included an image of sheet music that I created for this intro for those that would like to reference it when learning the part. I also included a colored version of the sheet music that I made where the notes look like actual fireflies in a midnight blue sky. That one is a little bit harder to read, but it looks cool. In the original song, Adam used a synth sound that he made out of a single sine wave, and this is a pure tone because a sine wave does not have any harmonics. This part sounds really nice on the piano, especially with the use of the sustain pedal. If you are playing this part using a synth sound, I recommend adding some effects like reverb and delay to enhance the sound. In the intro from the original recording, most of the notes have a plucking articulation. However, there are some notes that are smoothly connected together, and I've designated these in the sheet music with slurs. If you have a synth with a monophonic sound, you can practice separating the plucked notes and connecting the slurred notes to stay true to the original part. When I first learned how to play the intro, it took a little bit of experimentation to find the fingering that I find the most comfortable for playing this part. I recommend trying my fingering suggestions to keep the two hands relaxed, but this is a matter of preference, so feel free to experiment with this. As I stated in the beginning of the video, although this part does contain a lot of notes, there is a logic to the way that it's crafted. Hopefully this makes it easier for you to learn it. Honestly, I do not think that it's that difficult of a part to play on the piano. For me, the main thing that I found challenging was remembering the changes in each measure as I was first learning the part. Remember that you need to be patient as the muscle memory develops. Once you learn it, it can be a great way to show musicianship and your skills on the piano. Now that we've covered that, let's get to the actual notes. So the first note of Fireflies is a B flat, which makes sense because measure 1 is a B flat major harmony. So the first note is going to be a B flat that you play with the pinky in the left hand, and it's the B flat right below middle C. The next note is another B flat. It's the one an octave above that one, and you're going to play it using the thumb in the left hand. The third note is the note D. You're going to play this with your pinky in your right hand. So you're going to go an octave above that previous B flat plus 2 whole steps. That gives you the note D. So that's the first 3 notes. The next 3 notes are very similar, with the only difference being the last note. You're going to repeat the octave B flats in the left hand, and then you're going to play another B flat, this time in the right hand using the middle finger. So it's... And the last note of measure 1 is an E flat, and you're going to play this in the right hand using your thumb. You might notice that E flat does not belong to the current B flat major harmony. This E flat functions as an anticipation. It's anticipating the upcoming E flat major harmony, which is the harmony for measure 2. So, all of measure 1. Alright, measure 2 is an E flat major chord. You're going to start by playing an E flat in the left hand with the middle finger, then B flat with the thumb in the left hand. Then we have a neighboring motion in the right hand, using your middle finger and your index finger. You're going to play the note F, then E flat, then back up to F. Next, you're going to leap up to a B flat with the pinky in the right hand, and then use your index finger in the right hand to play the same E flat we played earlier. So measure 2. Measures 1 and 2. Alright, measures 3 and 4 both outline A flat major. So we're going to start with the left hand again. Play an A flat with your pinky. Then you're going to play E flat with the index finger. Then in the right hand, another neighboring motion using the same fingers, the middle finger and the index finger. This time with the notes C and B flat. Then leap up to an E flat here with the pinky in the right hand. Then the last 2 notes of measure 3 are the same as the first 2 notes, but in the reverse order. So E flat, A flat, with the same fingers in the left hand. So all of measure 3. For measure 4, we're holding this A flat that ended measure 3. In the right hand, you're going to play A flat with the thumb, C with the middle finger, B flat with the index finger. Then you're going to play a C with the middle finger in the left hand. And in the right hand, you're going to play B flat with the thumb, E flat with the index finger, F with the middle finger. So measures 3 and 4 combined. And notice once we get to measure 4, our hand is already in position to play the first notes in the right hand for measure 4. We're already set up to play this. Then we have to change hand positions to play this B flat with the thumb. So measures 1 through 4. Alright, that's the first half of the intro. The second half of the intro is very similar. It's the same harmonies and there are a lot of similarities with the notes. So measure 5 is a B flat major harmony like measure 1. Measure 6 is an E flat major harmony like measure 2. And measure 7 and 8 use an A flat major harmony just like measures 3 and 4 did. So measure 5 starts very similarly to the opening measure. But after you play that first D, you're going to play another D in the right hand, an octave below using your thumb. In the left hand after that, you're going to play F with the index finger, which is already in position based on the current hand shape. Then you're going to play B flat, which is also in position, using the middle finger in the right hand. Notice that this is your B flat major harmony. We have all the notes of the chord. B flat octaves, D octaves, F, B flat, and then end with the same anticipating E flat like we had in measure 1. Measure 6, an E flat major harmony. You're going to start with the same notes, E flat with your middle finger, B flat with the thumb, both in the left hand. In the right hand, you're going to start like you're doing that neighboring motion with the middle finger and the index finger on the notes F and E flat. But then you're going to do this descent in the right hand. You're going to play A flat with the pinky, G with the ring finger, E flat with the index finger, B flat with the thumb. So measure 6. And notice I have to take my thumb off in the left hand so that I can play the same B flat using the thumb in the right hand. So, measures 5 and 6. Alright, last two measures, measure 7 and 8 are both A flat major. So you're going to start by playing A flat with the pinky in the left hand, but no E flat this time. Just play that A flat. Then you're going to play C with the index finger in the right hand, E flat in the left hand with the index finger, A flat again with the pinky in the left hand, B flat with the thumb in the right hand. So, and then E flat again with the index finger in the left hand. That's measure 7. Measure 8, start with the C with the index finger in the right hand. Then again another A flat with the pinky in the left hand. Then a tiny descent, C to B flat in the right hand, index finger, thumb. C with the middle finger in the left hand. And then finally, E flat and F in the right hand with the index finger and the middle finger. So, measure 7 and 8 together. one more time. And that's the second half. So the entire intro to Fireflies, straight through, sounds like this. And that is how you play the intro to Fireflies on the piano. Now, I'm going to show you how I play the introduction to Fireflies on the guitar. If you would like a guitar tab to reference, I included an image of one that I created at the start of this section of the video. I definitely find it more challenging to play the intro on the guitar than on the piano. However, once you learn it, it's a real treat to play, and it's a great way to show musicianship and your skills as a guitarist. I enjoy using it as a warm-up when I pick up the guitar. I think that it sounds really nice to play the intro using the neck pickup on an electric guitar for a warmer and mellower tone. Some reverb and delay would also enhance the sound. For this tutorial, I'm going to use a general clean tone. I like to use a clean tone when I play this part, and I've seen several guitarists play versions of this intro using a lead guitar tone, and that would work well too. To play the intro to Fireflies on the electric guitar, you'll need a guitar with at least 22 frets. If your guitar has less frets, you can still play the part, but you will need to shift all the notes down and raise the tuning of the strings if you want to stay in the key of the song. For example, if your guitar has 21 frets, you can take all the notes that I show you, move them down by 1 fret, and if you tune all 6 strings up a half step so that the guitar is in F standard tuning, the notes will match those of the original part. Also, depending on the string spacing on your guitar, the way that the neck joins the body of the guitar, and whether or not your guitar has a double cutaway, this part can be easier or harder to play. For example, on this PRS SE Standard 24 electric guitar, which, fun fact, actually has an owl inlay at the 24th fret, and this Owl City emblem sticker that I put on it last year. There are 24 frets, which results in some extra room. The string spacing is comfortable, the set neck heel is lower, and it's a double cut guitar, so it's very comfortable for me to play Fireflies on this guitar. On some of my other guitars with different string spacing, bolt-on necks or set necks that join the body at an earlier fret, and or a single cutaway, it's a tiny bit more challenging to play this part, but it's certainly still possible. So just keep in mind that if you learn this part and you play it on different guitars, you might notice that it's easier or harder to play depending on the characteristics of the instrument. If you have one guitar, make the best of what you have. When I started playing the guitar as a young kid, I started for the first 5 years with this Fender Stratocaster and this Epiphone Les Paul. And I wanted these guitars because I was primarily focused on the look of the instrument. So I was not thinking about things like scale length, instrument weight, and the way that the neck joins the body of the instrument. In hindsight, I think this was a good thing because I would learn tons of songs and be able to switch between guitars without being distracted by preconceived notions of why one guitar might be easier to play a song on than another. The wonderful thing about the guitar is that each one offers something different, which is why my collection has grown a lot over the years. I love using this PRS guitar because it's like a hybrid of the characteristics of my first 2 guitars. And of course, the Owl inlay and the Owl City sticker make it that much more special to me. So, I have my guitar tuned to regular E standard tuning. Some people learning the full song might prefer to use a capo to make it easier to play the chords for the song because the key of the song is E flat major. For those that would prefer not to play that many bar chords, a capo on the 1st or 3rd fret would make playing the chords for the song easier. For example, if I take my capo and I put it at the 1st fret, I can play the chords to the chorus like this. Nice and simple. If I move the capo to the 3rd fret, I can play the chorus like this. Because my method for playing the intro does not involve the use of open strings, having a capo on the guitar at one of these earlier frets would not affect the way that the intro is played. Just be aware that if you are learning from the tab, the written frets are relative to the full guitar neck without a capo. One thing to note, in the piano section of this video, I talked about how most of the notes in the intro to Fireflies have a plucking articulation, but there are some that are smoothly connected together. Where possible, I try to incorporate some of these into my way of playing the intro through the use of slides. And the slides that I do can be seen on the guitar tab. Now that that's covered, let's get to the actual notes. First, I'm going to go over the notes to Fireflies, including which frets you're going to use to play these notes and the fingering suggestions that I have for playing these notes. I will also go over picking directions at the end of this section of the video to keep it in one spot. So the first note of Fireflies is a B flat, and you are going to play this using your index finger at the 18th fret on the low E string. The second note, you're going to use your middle finger to play the 20th fret on the D string. And the third note is a tiny bit of a stretch. You're going to use your ring finger to play the 22nd fret on the high E string. So the first three notes are. The next two notes are the same as the first two notes, using the same fingers at the same frets. Next, you're going to use your index finger to play the 18th fret on the high E string. So the first six notes together sound like this. And the last note of measure 1 is going to be played using your middle finger at the 20th fret on the G string. So all of measure 1 should sound like this. Alright, measure 2 is going to start at the same fret. You're going to use your index finger, this time on the A string at the 18th fret. The second note of measure 2 is the same as the second note of measure 1, using the same finger at the same fret. So the middle finger at the 20th fret on the D string. Next, you're going to use your index finger to play the 18th fret on the B string. And after you play that note, you're going to slide down 2 frets or a whole step, and then slide back up a whole step, 2 frets. So it should sound like this. So 1 pluck, and then slide down and back up. Now with your finger on that fret, you're going to use the pad of your finger and push it down on the E string, the high E string, to play the next note. And then the last note of measure 2, you're going to use your middle finger at the 16th fret on the B string. And using this finger lets us get set up for the transition into the next measure. Alright, measure 3 starts at the 16th fret on the low E string, using the index finger. Then use your ring finger at the 18th fret on the A string, and your middle finger at the 17th fret on the G string. This is logical because this is the shape of a bar chord. So hopefully that makes it easier to remember. The next note, 15th fret on the G string using your index finger, and then back up to the 17th fret on the G string using the middle finger. Now, in the videos I've posted in the past where I play Fireflies, I used to do something similar to measure 2 and do a slide like this. But if you listen to the actual recording, it's a plucking motion for all those notes. So it's... Next, you're going to play the 16th fret on the B string using the index finger. And the last two notes of measure 3 are the same as the first two notes of the measure, but in the reverse order. So you're going to play the 18th fret on the A string using the ring finger, and the index finger at the 16th fret on the low E string. So all of measure 3. Now for measure 4, you're going to move to a new position. You're going to use your index finger on the G string at that's the 13th fret. Then use your ring finger to play the 17th fret on the same string, and your middle finger to play the 15th fret on the same string. So measure 4 starts with that. And measure 4 ends like this. You're going to use your index finger to play the 15th fret on the A string. Then use your middle finger to play the 15th fret as well on the G string. And then after you play that note, you're going to slide up, holding that finger down to the 20th fret, which sounds like this if you plucked it. In my opinion, that's the hardest part of this entire 8 measure cycle, is getting that slide and landing on the right note, because the frets are closer together, so it's a lot easier to miss that note. But that's what you want it to sound like. 15th fret, 15th fret, slide to the 20th fret. And the last note of measure 4, use your ring finger to play the 22nd fret on the G string. So that's the first half. The first half of Fireflies goes like this. Alright, the second half has a lot of similarities with notes, but there are some differences. Measure 5 requires a lot of leaping between strings, which is why this one's a little bit tricky. So you're going to start with the same notes as measure 1. You're going to start with the index finger at the 18th fret on the low E string, then the 20th fret on the D string using the middle finger, then the 22nd fret on the high E string with the ring finger, the same way we started measure 1. But this time, we're going to do something different. You're going to play the 19th fret on the G string using the index finger. Next, use your middle finger to play the 20th fret on the A string, then the index finger to play the 18th fret on the high E string, and the same note that ended measure 1, use your middle finger to play the 20th fret on the G string. So all of measure 5 is like this. Alright, measure 6 is going to start similarly to measure 2. Start with your index finger at the 18th fret on the A string, middle finger, 20th fret of the D string. Another sliding motion. Use your index finger on the B string at the 18th fret and slide down a whole step. But this time we're not going to slide back up. After that slide, again using the pad of your finger, stay at that fret, use the pad of your finger to play the 16th fret on the high E string. And then you're going to slide down a fret as well to the 15th fret. So 2 slides in a row. And then after that, we're going to end with a D chord shape, like this. So we just did that slide. Next, 16th fret, middle finger on the B string, and then 15th fret on the G string using the index finger. So you have that motion. That's your D chord shape. So measures 5 and 6 together would be like this. All right, for measure 7, you're going to start by keeping your hand in this position. Use your middle finger to play the 16th fret on the low E string. Then after that, we're going to get set up for the next hand position, which is like that A flat major chord bar chord shape. So we start with that. Next, we're going to use our middle finger, 17th fret on the G string, ring finger, 18th fret on the A string, index finger, 16th fret on the low E string, and then we're going to do this stretch. You're going to play the 20th fret on the D string using your ring finger. And then after that, you're going to use the same finger, the ring finger. You're going to move it to the 18th fret on the A string. And that's the last note of the measure. So measure 6 into measure 7 is like this. And then we've reached the last measure. Measure 8, you start with your middle finger at the 17th fret on the G string, keeping this bar chord shape. 16th fret, low E string, index finger. Then another slide down. You're going to play the 17th fret on the G string using your middle finger and slide down a whole step or 2 frets. So it's and the last 3 notes of the intro, index finger, A string, 15th fret. Then 16th fret on the B string using the middle finger. And the last note is the 18th fret on the B string using the ring finger. So if I do measure 7 and 8 together, it would be like this. Sorry, I missed a note right there. So it would be like this. So the second half of Fireflies should sound like this slowly. Altogether, this is measures 1 through 8 of Fireflies, the entire intro. And actually, I did what I usually do with that slide in measure 3. That shouldn't have been there. So I'll play it one more time the way I just explained it, where you pluck the notes. So one more time slowly. This is the entire intro to Fireflies. All right, so let's talk about picking directions. I've been playing the guitar for almost 20 years, so my mind does not focus on what notes I play with downstrokes and what notes I play with upstrokes. My instincts just seem to take over, and eventually I get comfortable with a particular way of playing something. Sometimes, when I slow down a fast passage like this, I have to actually think about what picking direction I was using for each note. So I will give you my picking suggestions for Fireflies, but feel free to experiment with this to see if you find something else more comfortable. So, I do this. Starting with measure 1, I do down, down, up, down, down, up, up. Measure 2, I do down, down, down. You're sliding. Up, up. Measure 3, I do down, 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 up, down, up, down, down. Measure 4, I do down, up, down, down, slide, up. I actually play that differently than I just explained. Again, when I slow down sometimes, I do something different, but when I do it up to speed, down, 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 slide, up. Measure 5, down, down, up, down, up. Measure 6, down, 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 slide, up, down. Measure 7, down, up, down, down, up, down. And finally, measure 8, up, down, up, slide, down, down, up. The entire intro one more time slowly. Alright, and that is how you play the intro to Fireflies on the guitar. And that concludes this lesson video. I hope that you found it beneficial, and I wish you luck and success with learning the song. Owl City is one of my favorite music artists, and I highly recommend listening to Adam Young's music. Other than Fireflies, my favorite songs that Adam Young wrote are Silhouette, Lonely Lullaby, and Be Brave. Fireflies will always hold a special place in my heart because of the nostalgia that it brings to me, and how it reminds me of a fun time in my childhood. I hope that you love the song as much as I do. Thanks for watching.